What is relational vocal massage? Well, relational vocal massage started with myself and my colleague Robert Price. We took all of the information across the last 40 years, really, of research in manual therapy for voice and swallowing and combined it with a more psychotherapeutic approach, looking at how the relationship between the practitioner and the patient or client or student plays out in the room, right? Voice happens in relation. I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but one of the things that I really enjoy thinking about is like why we use voice, how we use voice, what that's really about. And I think what that's really about is getting our needs met, about sort of being okay in the world and navigating the world in relative safety. I think that when we have a voice problem, that can be somewhat corrupted, right? We can no longer ask for what we need. We can no longer go into those processes and seek out safety in a clear way, or at least clear to us. I think that can be ultimately damaging for our mental health and damaging for our immediate sociology too, because it puts us under all sorts of pressure, doesn't it? And so when we come to make contact with the person who has a voice problem, this seemingly innocent manual therapy move to hold the sternocleidomastoid on the neck, for example, isn't without relationship, right? There's me, the practitioner, holding this person's neck. That requires care, due care. And look, there's a paradox here, which is the paradox of the voiceless needing to be heard. So long gone, I hope and wish for, are the days where you'd have your sort of vocal manual therapist sort of get your neck and sort of wring it out. That's not useful or evidence-based, really. It's not evidence-based. We know too much about pain science and the neurophysiological mechanisms of pain to really support that now. What instead we've got to do is find a way to navigate this voicelessness, navigate this voice problem, and find out really what it means for this person to not have the voice that they once had, or the voice that they dreamed they had. And I've written research about this, and Robert and I have written the book, The Handbook of Vocal Massage, which is, I think, a really useful resource for clinicians using this work. But to seek a focus on the relationship, on not just the issue in the tissue, but the issue. Why is it that you don't have a voice right now? What's that like for you? How long has this been? On some level, when you think about your voicelessness, who did that to you? Right? These are all part of that functional voice disorder, and something which we can navigate through touch, careful and consented touch.